Hello everyone, I'm Wally Wood. Welcome you to the Revelation File News Report. Thank you for joining us. As we always do, we begin with our disclaimer at the very beginning of the show. We are a tax-exempt nonprofit ministry, but we deal in information and special reports. We use copyrighted material from the internet and from other sources as transformative, educational, informative material. We do not present this presentation or any of our presentations for profit in this ministry, and so we qualify for the Section 107 of the U.S. copyright law. Today's report, we're going to go into something we've done before, but in greater depth, and that's on the subject of omniveillance. It's a new word, and I'll explain it here to you in a little bit. Omniveillance, total transparency. And we look to Revelation 13, verse 15, which says that he had the power to kill anyone who did not worship him. And we raise the question in a world of over 7.5 billion souls, how will they know who's worshiping and who's not? Now, this is speaking of the Antichrist and the image of the beast. And we are bringing our focus today on what's been called omniveillance, which means an all-seeing eyes everywhere. The omniveillance is a subject that was brought forth as a word by the Santa Clara Law Review, and they were the first to coin that word back in 2009. And on their webpage, omniveillance, Google, privacy in public, and the right to your digital identity, a tort for recording and disseminating an individual's image over the internet. The word was first coined and presented by attorney Josh Blackman, and he wrote an introduction into the use of this word and this particular tort that he's referring to. And this, again, is on their website, which you see posted there at digitalcommons.law.scu.edu. But in our next slide, we're going to present to you what Josh wrote. Photographing people in public places is nothing new. Internet giant Google recently began photographing American streets with a new technology entitled Google Street View. But Google does not only record streets. Its high-resolution cameras are able to capture people, both outside and inside their homes, through open windows, engaged in private matters. Those captured by Google's cameras are not even aware they're being recorded, as Google uses nondescript recording equipment to clandestinely record people in their natural state. These images are then disseminated to users all over the world. Although the present iteration of this technology only displays previously recorded images, current privacy laws do not prevent Google from implementing a system that broadcasts live video feeds on street corners throughout America. This threat is all the more real in light of projected trends in technology and the path of future internet developments. In the future, individuals could be able to visit Google's website and search for a specific time, date, and location. Users will thus be able to witness what happened at any place and to what people at any moment in Google's recorded history. Such pervasive human monitoring is the essence of the phenomenon this article has termed omniveillance. Omniveillance is a form of omnipresent and omniscient digital surveillance in public places that is broadcasted indiscriminately throughout the internet. Due to the unselective nature of this technology, neither newsworthiness nor a person's solitude is of any concern. The question thus arises, what limitations exist for private entities to monitor on individuals and broadcast their recordings throughout the internet? End of quote. This is becoming a very serious matter in the area of global surveillance, of total transparency for the first time in human history. You can also go to a website called omniveillance.info, and they pick up this theme, the Center for Advanced Studies in Science and Technology Policy. It's a working paper on the Surveillance Society, in which they talk about omniveillance, and if you notice down at the bottom right corner, the eye of God, the social construction of omniveillance. So that's well worth reading as well. That's, again, omnivalence.info. The omnipresence of prying eyes. This has occurred a number of times in current media. Bloomberg Business Week a few years ago, it's not spying if they're always watching. Popular Mechanics, digital thought police. And your thoughts can be read by remote, by radiation. National Geographic, Big Brother in the skies. So we're in an era of ever-evolving omnipresence and total transparency. The digitization of life itself goes far beyond mere convenience. It's opened the avenue by which man can acquire the divine attributes of omnipresence, being everywhere and seeing everything in real time. Now this is the stuff of science fiction, but now it's rapidly becoming science fact. The April 2021 edition of Wired magazine, in an article entitled God View, says this: security cameras, license plate readers, smartphone trackers, drones. We're being watched 24/7. Soon, all of those eyes could become one. Moving into the article itself, which you can also find at wired.com, they are spying eyes everywhere, and now they share a brain. And this is an article written by Arthur Holland Michael, who is a senior fellow at the Carnegie Council for Ethics in International Affairs and the author of Eyes in the Sky, The Secret Rise of Gorgon State and How It Will Watch Us All. Quoting from segments of that article, what is being called automated fusion or fusion technology, which is an integral part of smart city modernization packages, Arthur Mitchell writes, and I quote, "Mind-bending new breakthroughs in sensor technology got a lot of buzzy press. A laser that can covertly identify you from 2 football fields away by measuring your heartbeat. A hack that makes your smartphone spy on anything nearby with a Bluetooth connection from your Fitbit to your smart refrigerator. A computer vision system that will let the authorities know if you suddenly break into a run within sight of a CCTV camera, a closed-circuit television camera. They're all inputs for a system that, with each new plug-in, reaches a little closer to omniscience of an ever-expanding, all-knowing surveillance platform." Continuing the quote, "In modern life, we're rarely not in the crosshairs of some spying device or other. We rush by a license plate reader on our way to work, a few blocks from a burglary that's being patternized. As we walk from the parking lot to the gym or the mosque, we're picked up on a dozen closed-circuit televisions. We attend a protest under the watchful eye of a drone. Our smartphones log our every move, our every click, and our every like. But no single one of these machines, when used in isolation, is omniscient. The fact that intelligence can be difficult and tedious to correlate was perhaps the last natural rampart standing between us and total surveillance. The little privacy we have left exists in the spaces between each data point. Fusion technology eviscerates, meaning to deprive of vital content or force, those spaces. With the click of an investigate button, our digital footprints, once scattered, become a single uninterrupted life history, leaving not only our enemies, but also our friends and our lovers with nowhere to hide." End of quote. Wow. Government Technology Magazine just came out with a Smart Cities report. Is smart city a euphemism for plain old surveillance? The article asks. Speakers at the recent Micro-Mobility World Conference debated the future of smart city tech and whether it's actually been improving urban mobility or simply facilitating a growth of the surveillance state. This came out February 4th, 2021. Quoting, "Nearly a decade into the smart city movement, observers from planning, transportation, and privacy arenas are turning a critical eye to technology in search of a problem to solve. Too often, smart city projects end up being just plain old surveillance, said Julia Thane, a founder of Urban Movement Labs, who is helping to lead mobility innovation within the office of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. Continuing, citing the controversies around a $30 million smart street lights program in San Diego, where residents claimed the police department was often allowed access to video footage gathered from the cameras mounted on the lights, speakers at the mobility conference took a questionable view of how, quote, smart city, end of quote, has evolved in the lexicon of urban planning, innovation, and the general notion of what makes up a modern city, end of quote. The Wall Street Journal, April 8th, 2021. Apple privacy feature gives users the reins. What? Apps tracking me? Now, these are the apps on your phone. Oh yes, apps have been tracking you. You know how you may search for something on one website and then the ad for that particular product can follow you around the web? Well, instead of using web browsing tracking tools like cookies, iPhone apps tend to use a secret string of numbers on your phone called the IDFA, meaning Identifier for Advertisers, and is used for tracking and identifying what you do in apps and across apps. Android has something very similar to this. Since most apps use this ID, the data attached to your IDFA can include everything from what apps you've downloaded and what you've searched for to your purchase history and location, and much, much more. Omniveillance, all-seeing eyes everywhere. Now, we covered this in 2 programs of ours that you can find on our YouTube page by going to the address at youtube.com/RevFileTV. Program number 9 was Our Transparent World, and that was the introduction into this topic. And then program number 21, Our Transparent World, in which we went into greater depth on this and showed even more videos to show that for the first time in human history, we are now a totally transparent world and fast becoming where there is no place to hide. We also have a website called ourtransparentworld.com that you can go to, where omniveillance is the new norm. And you can go to ourtransparentworld.com and see what we've posted there, and you can see the menu listed here. And we cover a number of these issues having to do with transparency. On our homepage, we've picked up a number of quotes from gentlemen who are specialists in this field. And of course, the most well-known quote is from Scott McNeely, CEO and co-founder of Sun Microsystem, when he said, "You have zero privacy anyway, get over it." But there are other quotes of gentlemen that we have placed on this website that you would do well to make yourself familiar with. And they're all pretty much saying the same thing. Secrecy is gone. Privacy is gone. Everything that you do is tracked, surveyable, and picked up, and registered and logged. But in kind of bringing this to a head, let me bring to your attention once again the biblical premise for all this. We're not paranoid about any of this. This has all been prophesied. And I take your attention back to the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and that particular segment of that chapter, speaking of the Antichrist and the image of the beast. And I make note of the fact that the image of the beast is the one that puts forth the command to receive the mark in the flesh, by which no man could buy or sell. And we're told in verse 15 that the image of the beast would even speak and cause everyone who did not worship the image of the beast to be killed. That can only happen when everybody is trackable. You don't have to be on the internet, but in my second book that I wrote back in 2000 entitled The Embedded Internet, The Final Evolution, I talked about how the day would come when the internet would be attached to everything you touch and everything that touches you. And we're there now. The book came out about 12 years before the Internet of Things came out. Now there are over 30 billion items in the world that are connected to the Internet. The population is approaching 8 billion people. There are more items on the Internet than there are people. And with the things that we carry on our person, like our cell phone, smartwatch, RFID chips in our clothing, our shoes, socks, eyeglasses, those are always on. Time magazine a few years ago, when the smartwatch was very new, did a rather large expose into the dangers of wearing a watch that was always on the Internet. You couldn't turn it off. So you were trackable everywhere. And this goes real deep. Our smart speakers like Alexa, they're always on. And it is a very sobering realization that for all practical purposes, our privacy is non-existent today. And this is where the Bible prophecy comes into play. We have a video that we want to bring your way at this point. It was put out by CBS News a few years ago. I want you to pay attention to this.
Should you find yourself in Terminal B at Newark Airport, look up. Those aren't just new lights, they're smart lights, a sophisticated array of LED fixtures with built-in sensors and cameras connected over a wireless network. They monitor security, the flow of foot traffic.
Newark's primarily interested in energy savings.
Hugh Martin is president of Sensity, the Silicon Valley company that developed the smart lights at Newark and this parking garage in San Jose.
So these lights, they sense that we're walking?
Yeah, there's a motion sensor in each individual light.
What does this do as far as energy?
This week we saved about $3,500, or over $182,000 a year in energy saved just from this.
Across the globe, cities are phasing out old energy-wasting incandescent and sodium bulbs and replacing them with LEDs, which can act as a power hub that can be tailored for high-tech add-ons. That's the smart part. They're also 90% more efficient, longer lasting, and much brighter.
Whoa, that is bright.
There are about 4 billion outside lights in the world today. Imagine all these lights connected in one global network.
This is one of just a few places in the country where a smart light network has been installed. This Silicon Valley building uses it primarily for security. And here's how it works. There are 40 lampposts in this lot, holding 83 LED lights connected to 7 cameras in a seamless grid that is tracking and recording my every move.
So we do use the license plate recognition, and we also can detect people.
Kevin Kirk is chief engineer for the Shorenstein Company, which owns this building. The company plans to install smart lights at their properties across the country.
Everything goes up into the cloud, so we can access everything from anywhere. The future is limitless for this technology.
The Smart Light Network has the ability to spot an unattended bag at an airport and alert security, show drivers to empty parking spaces, alert shoppers of sales as they walk past retailers. Existing LED lights can be retrofitted with sensors to monitor pollution, measure snowfall, sniff out a dirty bomb before it can spew radiation.
There's no end to the kind of information you could gather.
Yep.
And therein lies the problem. In the future, the smart network could track every place we go, everything we buy, everything we do all the time.
It sounds rather Orwellian.
Wouldn't at least the parents of kids at a school feel better if they knew that there was an analytic that looked for objects that could be guns on people that were coming into the school? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
We're all both benefiting and at risk from this.
Dr. Linton Wells with the National Defense University in Washington says technology is evolving faster than our policies to control it.
So I think the onus has to be on the citizen. It's your information that's at risk out there.
Is the technology getting ahead of us?
If we don't have the technology, we won't confront the issues and we won't figure out the right way.
With a smart light network, the future can be bright if we're smart about how we use it. For CBS This Morning, Bill Whitaker, Sunnyvale, California.
That's the future. It's happening now. And the Bible prepares us for that. And we are not a program that is in any way reactionary to the times that we're living in. I'm not an activist of any kind. I'm just a reporter reporting world news from a biblical, prophetic perspective. Jesus said these things were going to come. And there's a lot more information than what we can handle in just this 1.5 hour program. Our intention is not to strike fear or anxiety of any way. We are to inform you and to educate, first, the body of Christ. This is the time that Jesus said that the generation that sees these things would not pass away until all had been fulfilled, which included his return. This is a sobering time. This is a time to make ourselves more available to the Lord. We're to be more serious in our study of the Word, our praying and fasting, growing in faith and knowledge, because it's leading up to and will include the worst that you can ever imagine when it comes to the reign of the next world empire and the next world leader, the Antichrist. So, if there's anything to come from this in this program today, let me convince you and compel you to get alone with the Lord, to spend more time in prayer and studying the Word and growing closer to Him by faith. That's my whole purpose in producing these shows. And we will go into a lot of these things even deeper than we've been able to thus far. And I know that I'm at risk of being censored by some of the providers of the services that this program is carried on. And I just leave that in their hands. But I do invite you to write to us. And our address is coming up at the end of this program. That you can write to us, give us your email. We'll put you on our mailing list. We will always inform you what we're doing next in the way of production and send you some occasional updates and alerts. But let this be a time, a sobering time, an isolation time. Lord, I need your blessing. I need your protection. I need your covenant. I need you. And you so declared in your word that without you we can do nothing. And there was to come a time that the last generation would show up. And Jesus marked it. The generation that saw these things would not pass away. So, thank you for watching, and show this presentation to others, and make it a part of a Bible class. And let Christians know everywhere that this is the time we're now in. Let non-believers see it, because everything in here is not opinion-based. I don't give my opinion. I give you the evidence. Thank you for watching. I'm Wally Wood, and we look forward to having you join us again in another episode.
You have been watching the Revelation File Report with Wally Wood, a Wally Wood Ministries production from Houston, Texas. You are able to support the ministry by donating at wallywoodministries.com and by mail at Wallywood Ministries, P.O. Box 42005, Houston, Texas 77242. Wally is available to present full 2-hour forums in your city called the Revelation File News Forum. For more details, contact Andy Valadez at 713-560-3348 or by email at andy@andyvaladez.com. The Revelation File News Report is a weekly update of global trends in the news as it aligns with end-time Bible prophecy. Tune in again next time and be sure to like and share this channel.